On today's Starting Nine, we break down the biggest news for the Chicago Cubs. Dansby Swanson signs a 7-year, $177 million deal with the Cubs. The Bronx get a new left-handed pitcher. The White Sox give out their biggest deal in club history, and so much more hot stove offseason news. We're here to bring it to you. It's Starting Nine. Let's have a great episode. Action! Welcome back to Starting Nine, episode 65. Your host, Carl, here. My co-host, Jake Arrieta.
What's happening?
How are you?
Good. Good weekend for you. Mine was busy. A lot of people in for an early Christmas with some family. A lot of pressure to make good food for everybody, but it went smooth. First fried turkey ever.
Big storyline here.
It turned out juicy. First fried turkey.
Big storyline. Your meat.
Yeah. I highly recommend a fried turkey to anybody that's never done one. I watched probably 50 YouTube videos, making sure I don't do it dangerously. There's like 4,200 fires a year from people frying turkeys. I didn't want to be a statistic. So, checked all the boxes, made sure I did everything by the book, and it turned out so good. So good. So highly recommended. Nothing wrong with a roasted turkey or a smoked turkey on the Traeger or the green egg. But I think fried turkey has to be number one. Has to. You ever had fried turkey?
No, I haven't had it. My house is we prejudice our birds into the oven. I tried to get the bird out of the oven one time. My mother got so mad. So now we do two birds at my house. We do one on the green egg in the garage with the boys. But my mom's like, no, you are not taking my smells. So instead of one big turkey.
She likes the oven roasted.
She wants.
Kind of old school. Yeah, it fills the house with the aroma. Yeah, it's a good move. It's a good move.
I mean, she's classic post World War II baby boomer. Like, you just grew up utterly crowded house, probably fucking humid all the time in there because that oven's just going nonstop. Or does that dry the house out? Depends on the bird basing it. Well, congratulations on your big weekend. I know you'll not admit that you were nervous. You definitely just wanted to do a good job for 30 fucking people at your house.
Yeah, maybe a little nervous, but when you prepare yourself, like anything in life, it calms those nerves. And I had about a week before where you get your list together, you make sure you've got everything you need, you cover all the basics, and you're good to go. So if you try and jump into it without knowing what you're doing, especially something like frying a turkey when you got the propane tank sitting right there in the open flame with hot oil at 335 degrees, it can get a little sketchy. So, like I was telling you before the show, the biggest thing to do is when you get the oil to 325 or 330, anywhere 325 to 350 is probably fine. Before you put the bird in, turn the tank off, let the flame shut off, and then lower in the bird slowly. Make sure it's completely dry. If there's any moisture or any water on the bird, it can kind of kick that oil up and could spill over, causing an issue. So dry the bird off, turn off the flame, lower it in slow, burn her back on, and then wait it out 3.5 minutes per pound. And if you do that, turkey's gonna be juicy, crispy skin, juicy meat. And I'm a dark meat guy. I don't even think it's an argument. Chicken breast just dries out a little too much. The breast on the fried turkey was good, but it can't compete with the dark meat. The thighs, it's just too good. The legs. Are you a dark meat guy? Or you like the chicken breast?
I'm a dark meat guy. I am. I'm a dark meat guy. But you know what? I think we've talked about this. Poultry ranks very low in my meat rankings. Pork, much prefer pork. Beef. You know what? I had a good gyro the other day, so then you start thinking about where lamb falls in the equation. But it's definitely more precious meat, more precious source of protein. And you bring up a good point, guys. Keep the birds dry. Keep the babes wet. Keep your birds dry. Somebody make a T-shirt for that. You should be cooking more birds. You're fucking over here cooking turkeys. The Cubs are cooking up massive deals. I'm going to associate this now. Like, when I need good juju, I'm just going to ask you to go throw the hot oil on for $3.25.
Well, I mean, I think we agree here that the Cubs had to land one of these shortstops. There was talk for a while with Correa maybe being that guy, but I think Dansby is the ultimate fit for the Chicago Cubs. They've got him for 7 years now. You talk about leadership and accountability, leading by example, on and off the field. The guy I believe he played in all 162 games last season, 160 or so the season before. So this guy's rock solid. You know what you're going to get every single day. Great move by the Cubs, and I know you're excited about it.
Well, the terms are great. I was on the Chicago show just like trying to make it clear that 13 years for Craze, to me, is just like preposterous. You know, I was like, I just cannot wrap my head around 13 years as a Cubs fan. As a baseball purist, great. Love a big deal. I want the big deals. As a Cubs fan, I don't want on my team. I don't want Correa. And that's just a reality. Like, Correa for 10 years is appetizing. Correa on a short-term high AAV, if that's what the Cubs wanted to do strategically, like, you know, I'm interested in that. And then considering like going down the scale, like Xander Bogaerts for 11 years, that's just so long. And it's not to say like this year, next year, 3 years. It's like, just put your head in year 6, 7, 8, you know, a leg starts to go or something. And then you're just relying on the front office to be able to unload more on these contracts. So from a Cubs fan perspective, just the years, like, I'm not saying don't pay these guys, but just don't put yourself in a position where, you know, down the road you're in free agency and something comes across the table and it's a great piece and you're hamstrung because you're locked on the depth chart and you don't want to hit the luxury tax. And we've already seen that that's the type of team the Cubs are. So this is my long-winded way of saying we'll talk more about Dansby Swanson, the player. But right now I'll talk about years, terms. 7 years, when everything in the market right now is double digits, I think it initially makes it an attractive deal. I think you have to consider that, like, it could be an overpay. You could say Dansby Swanson got a lot more than he would have, like, maybe not an overpay, but at the start of the year, it's such a big contract for Dansby Swanson.
Yeah, it
is. But played 162, right. Great leader.
I think you're right about the years. If you go on AAV, so Correa was 350 for 13, correct? I think it comes out to 25, 26 million a year. And Xander's was about the same thing, 280 over 11. So they essentially gave Dansby the same deal AAV wise, but they got him for 3, 4, 5 years less. So, and when you're developing players, they're going to have other shortstops in their system. You still allow that next guy time to develop. 5, 6, 7 years or so, and look at over the course of the Bogaerts and the Correa deal, like that next guy, you're not going to see him forever unless something happens, unless there's injury to one of those guys or just terrible underperformance. You're not going to have another shortstop play in the big leagues on a consistent basis for a fuck ton of time. So. I think you're exactly right with the years. I don't know if it's an overpay or not. We'll see. I think he's a great shortstop. Probably was viewed as the guy that was lowest on that list, but that's a list of superstars. So, however you want to slice it, I think that the Cubs went out and made the correct move. Dansby got taken care of, and again, the Cubs didn't overextend themselves for a double-digit year contract. I think 7 is a great number. The fans are going to love him. The organization's going to love him.
Love him.
Yeah.
Dude, his wife plays a sport here. The family's going to be here. He's going to be so rooted. This is a guy who probably all he wants to do is be rooted. He said in free agency that a primary consideration is that it had an MLB team, MLS team. And there's only like 6 or 7 cities, and like one of them, Seattle, okay, they're off the table. Houston, they're off the table. I mean, if you were taking him at his word, there's only a handful of places where he and his new wife, congratulations to the newlyweds, Mallory could play. And so I think that's a great point from a very big benefit that you're going to get, I think, from this guy is he gets to settle down with the kids. And
yeah, you can't overstate.
From talking to him, too, it sounds like that matters, I should say.
Right. You can't overstate the importance of your family being comfortable, and especially when Dansby's in a position where his wife is a professional athlete as well, and you have to consider that her career and her passion and what she's doing in her life as an individual, as part of a couple, and that's awesome to see that she's going to be able to. I'm assuming that she's going to be able to play for that MLS team. I don't know her contract situation or if she's a free agent or if she's able.
She's
to
already
sign.
on the team.
She's already on the team in Chicago.
Yeah, she's a Red Star, man. Get a jersey.
Okay.
Get a kit.
So she was on the team before Dansby signed the deal with the Cubs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, maybe maybe that could have changed things. Could the Cubs have got him for cheaper?
Oh man, come on! Don't do this to me now.
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, 7 years. Everybody else is. That's 4 years shorter. I think it's like when we talk about the terms again, because the money isn't the money. The Lux tax is going to keep going up the way these guys are spending. Cohen's pushing the envelope. People have made the point. Hey, $25 million deal for a premium player at a premium position. You look back on it, doesn't matter. That's why everybody keeps sucking this Trey Turner deal for 11 years. Hasn't played a game yet. Congrats. But allegedly, the thought is $27 million for Trey Turner. 5 years from now, you're going to be like, that was a steal. They've only paid that guy $135 million. He's finished MVP, top 5, whatever. So now you look at the Dansby deal. Okay, 25.1
25's, yeah, 25 and change.
Yeah, so now you have him and Horner up the middle. Your thoughts? Sweetest middle infield in baseball. Thank you. We'll just say that.
Is it?
Sweetest. Is it? Dude, these guys are so cool. They're so cool.
Okay, from a cool factor. Sure.
Great butt cheeks. Yeah. They look great in the uniform. They'll both have high socks. It'll look like a high school middle infield, like two sweet kids from like the South playing together on a travel team.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. Nico, good looking dude, built well, stud, Stanford guy, and then right next to him is Dansby, Vandy guy. Just all American type of middle infield. Okay, I thought you were going on like numbers wise.
No, don't do that.
Okay. Well, yeah, they are.
Well, Altuve and Jeremy Pena are listening to this right now, and they're going, Carl, man, come on, what are you doing right now?
They're pretty
Corey
sweet,
Seager
too.
and Simeon are calling me, and they're going, yo, dude, we didn't come down to Texas to take get a haircut, pal.
Yeah. Well, maybe from an ethnic perspective, like the sweetest Latin middle infield, Pena and Altuve, and then as far as just white guys, Nico and Dansby, and then we'll have to see what other groups are out there. As an all-white middle infield, okay, I'll give them as the sweetest. But when they're going up against Pena and Altuve, pretty solid there too.
Nico, grow the hair out.
I'd like to see,
and then with Dansby, and then they got the Flow Bros, and now we're selling merch, and then instead of Super Mario and Luigi, it's like the Super Flow Bros. Is that a bad pitch? It's great hair. I know we're bald. Oh, is that why? Because we're fucking bald.
Well, we respect great hair more than anything else. Like I admire every great head of hair that I see. Compliments just left and right. I'd like to see Nico grow his hair out long. It'd be the best hair middle infield in all of baseball.
Would you like to see me get a fat head at Dansby?
I would like to see you grow your hair out. I want to see what it looks like. Like 5-6 months, just let it go. And I know it's bad. Mine's bad too.
It's like a promise.
I'll never grow it out again.
Nico, I'll do this with you.
I would like to. Yeah, if you grow your hair out at the same time, both shave it and then see what it looks like after 4 or 5 months. See how much better his looks than yours.
I mean, you don't have to frame it like that, but you just.
Well, I mean, dude, look, trust me. Give me 5 or 6 months of growth, and it's going to look absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know this for a fact. But now that said, Nico, I know, again, loyal listener. I'll follow up with you via text message about this. But yeah, we'll get this going. If you're interested, Gauntlets challenged. We'll go get it high and tight before spring training, and we'll just take that baby into the All-Star break. You and me, pal. Be a great storyline. Maybe raise some money for the kids. Is this now okay? You're in the Cubs clubhouse. You're buddies with David Ross. You're fucking. I'm not saying you right now. I'm just saying hypothetically. I don't know. We'll talk about the bench coach, whoever. So now Swanson's coming in. Does this? I've said for a long time. I've said the duration of this offseason, the Cubs will be lucky to finish in third place because they got to be healthy with what they had. Now they signed Swanson. Is it realistic now that they can? I mean, the Brewers' pitching staff's unbelievable. It always seems like they reload year after year on a limited budget. The Cardinals went out and just improved drastically after winning the division. After beating the Cubs by 19 games last year, the Cardinals. They went and got better. So I guess I'm just curious if this Swanson thing in your head, Like, is David Ross rolling in spring training being like, all right, I have enough to go compete with the Cardinals, or is he like, give me some more here?
Well, I think
he's, and I'll say I think he wants more. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, a lot of it's gonna fall on the pitching staff, like how Thompson pitches, how Justin Steele, comes out of spring training. Like if they can carry a little bit more of the burden and take some of the pressure off, Stroman, and Tyone, right? If they can be two complementary pieces to that rotation, like they can be a pretty damn good team. It starts with pitching and defense. We all know that. Drew Smyly's coming back, so they have what looks like a really good rotation. So I think they can be competitive in the Central. So we'll see. But I think the key factors are how Thompson and Steele pitch for them. I mean, if they can get out of the gates hot and be consistent, they will be competitive.
Yeah, I've heard Steele's name way more frequently as top of the rotation guy. That I find that curious though in following this local stuff. That Keegan Thompson's a little bit left out of the mix, but for purposes of the rotation, I think they have 6 now. I think they have 6 starters. So you go through, it's Stroman, Steele, Taillon, and then Smyly, and they're saying either like some combination of Hendricks because he was hurt last year. He's got
you can't forget about him, and then Alzolay. Like I don't know
he's just
where he's at in his progression
stuff.
Or what's going on. I mean, he's rehabbing, right?
Yeah,
so he's going to be in there too. I mean, and when he's healthy and locked in, like he's got a shot to be really, really good too. And if you look at the way that Thompson threw, I mean, what is it? The first month or two, like people were talking about him, if he could keep this up, potentially being a Cy Young candidate. Obviously, he ended up having a like a 3.7, 3.8 ERA, but not a bad year. Not a bad year for him at all. So if he can take another step in his progression, which needs to happen, he's got all the makeup and the potential for that. And the Cubs need that from a lot of guys. And this is, it's easy to say because every organization has players that performed a certain way in 2022 and are all expected to be a little bit better. A lot of them will, a lot of them won't. It's about 50-50 usually is kind of how that goes. Is some guys either regress or stay the same. And then, there are the guys that do make that jump and turn themselves into like an everyday player or an everyday starting pitcher. And you see some guys that were number 5 that kind of push up the ladder and turn into a number 3. I mean, that was Hendricks' progression, right? He was viewed as like a number 4 starter or so, and then there's at times pitching like a 2 or a legit 1. So if that can happen with one or both of Thompson and Steele, then the Cubs are putting themselves in a really good position to be competitive.
Yeah, an extremely like deep roster of guys that can qualify for like the 5th, 6th spot for injury stuff, and you go through. It's actually relatively encouraging. They just don't miss a lot of bats, which makes me more encouraged in the Swanson signing because now with Swanson and Nico at the middle, defensively, metrically, you could say they have the best middle infield in baseball. Other people argue, whatever, fine. Outs above average, whoever's calculating that shit. It's good. It's tier 1. It's as good as the Cubs can put on the field. So if you're going to have guys that don't miss barrels, that's certainly a big advantage.
Yeah, and Chicago's a really difficult place to hit in April and kind of a majority of May. So that will help their starters out a little bit. I played golf with Hap not long ago, and he's like, man, this is just so frustrating and demoralizing to try and hit in Chicago in April and May. I go, I get it. But then you have the luxury of playing there when it heats up and the ball's fucking flying onto Waveland and so on and so forth. So, but that could be a good thing, or that is a good thing for the starting pitchers on the Cubs. Is like you get away with a lot more early on in the season at Wrigley than you typically would in June, July, August.
I would propose that teams that play in colder environments should skip the last week of spring training and just go back home and play inter squad or whatever. Like let Cody Bellinger go hit at Wrigley Field for a week before you actually ask him to go hit at Wrigley Field for a week.
No.
What you're talking about? It's crazy. Come on. You bring this guy out of Scottsdale, roll him up there. The Ivy's not even dead. At least let him see what the ball looks like. Because I agree with you. It is impossible on the north side of Chicago. It's impossible. Fuck, it doesn't matter. Cleveland, south side of Chicago. The places that are cold, it blows.
Yeah, well, I've talked to quite a few people that said, "What the hell is Cody Bellinger doing? Like coming off of a year like that, signing in Chicago? Like, is he? What's he doing that to himself for? Like, does he know how hard it is to hit in Chicago in April, May? Oh yeah, well maybe, but he does get the opportunity to kind of reestablish himself and play in Chicago. So I like the signing, but I also do understand that." It's a grind for guys in April and May there, and it's a psychological thing for sure. I've seen a lot of guys land on balls in April and May, come back to the dugout, breaking helmets, breaking bats, just furious with the conditions. But it is what it is.
Big questions at the corner infield position. Last piece on the Cubs. We got to talk heavy Cubs. Excuse me, Cubs guy, former Cubs player. But big question at first and third base, and it just fucking blows. I'm sorry, I'll say it again. It absolutely blows. To have a platoon strategy going in for the first and third base. I understand one of the two positions, but both of them to have so many question marks. And I'd like to see the Mervis kids step up so that by sometime in August you're like, all right, this is our guy for a little bit here. But to go into spring training and just have question marks at both and platoon ideas when it's like those are the two positions, in my opinion, that are so easy to fill with veterans. Justin Turner just signed. He'll make $8.4 million next year, 2024 with the Dodgers. With the Red Sox. Congratulations to Justin Turner, friend of the program. Josh Bell signing for $16.5 million a season with Cleveland for 2 seasons. Same thing with Rizzo. And so it's just that, to me, that's an easy position to fill first and third in the veteran market. Not to say you're going to get massive upgrades, but if you have a question mark, it's not crazy expensive to go get some predictability there. The Cubs right now, it looks like they might forego on that. There's some names they're linked to. Nothing right now. I shouldn't be like pulling a panic button. But do you agree with what I'm saying about first and third base being positions where, like, can we count on getting some old guys in here that can fucking play?
I mean, the Cubs expected like Schwindel to be like a guy, right? They expected him to be a guy, and then in 60 days he kind of fell apart. Now he's going to Japan to play, which is fine. And look, this is not necessarily a knock on Schwindel. Like, the game's really hard, and not everybody can do it at the big league level, at a really high level, and at those two positions, at first and third base, like, you need a certain type of production from your guys. And, we'll see what happens with Wisdom. I mean, can he hit for slightly higher average? I mean, how long are you going to accept a 207 average, even though he hits you, 25 to maybe 30 home runs? Is it worth the trade-off? Maybe on a much more potent offensive team, but on a team like the Cubs, I don't know if you're willing to accept that. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Right. No, big swing. He does have a lot of swing and miss. There's pop, a lot of swing and miss, low average. Some questions defensively, but I like him as an option. I don't know if I prefer going in and saying, yeah, for sure, pencil him in, because he's a guy who can get super hot and play his way into a lineup consistently. Like you said, I don't want to be sitting there and maybe I'm like, all right, let's get it going. You kind of want to have, if he's in the roster, as I'm saying, you can't platoon both. We'll see. But I do like the fact that there's the universal DH in play is still just getting lodged in my brain, because there is more options and availability. I just like to see him add a little bit more. Get a veteran. They say Trey Mancini, maybe Brandon Drury, but
I would let's move on. The Trey Mancini, but real quick, that would be a phenomenal sign.
Well, he's a Notre Dame guy.
Mm-hmm.
Local, probably get all those Irish fans to show up. I mean, the problem I have with Trey Mancini is that he's just like, there's something. Maybe it's just because he's a Notre Dame guy. I just don't trust him. There's something going on here. He's so nice. He's so good. Everybody has nothing but good things to say about him. When that's the case,
all those compliments, and then you're going to say you can't trust the guy.
It's a joke.
Okay.
It's a joke. I do trust him. Why wouldn't I trust him?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
All right, let me see if I can get – let's play a game. Let me see if I can get you to say a bad word about the Carlos Rodon contract. 6 years, $162 million, full no-trade clause. Is there anything you don't like about this?
No, I love it. I absolutely love the signing. I mean, how do you not? And it kind of took me by surprise. But Cashman strikes again with the signing. I think you referenced it with the signing of Judge and Rodon. They committed, what was it, $522 million in contract guarantees. I like the full no trade clause, and he's a Boras client. It's kind of something you expect with long-term deals, guys of this caliber to get. Here's what happens: is you sign a big deal with a team, you bring your family, and you buy a house, and you got a place in spring training. You don't want to get traded. Like, we just got settled in. I want to be here. I committed to this team, and that's what Rodoon did. Committed to the Yankees. He wants to be a Yankee for 6 years. So I love that. And that's just kind of a move you expect the Yankees to make. I mean, you get the best lefty in the market. You bring him in, Severino with Cole. It's going to be a great move. And they've got Montas for how much longer?
Beats me.
Okay.
At least this season, next season. I thought it was at least one full season, maybe two.
And now the Yankees have two really good left-handed starting pitchers in the rotation.
I was going to say, predictions for his facial hair. Do you think he'll grow the full caterpillar?
I think so. To me, he strikes me as a guy that needs some sort of facial hair.
It's all he gets there, right? You can't when you're a Yankee. You got to get rid of everything and clean it up.
We saw how it played out with Carpenter. I mean, that was an unbelievable dick broom, super thick. I think Rodoon will feature a stash from time to time.
Him and Nestor Cortez at picture day, just a striking visual. One big man, smaller guy, equally thick mustaches, olive skin. See, it's not just the lefties. It's like they're just perfect together. In fact, they're the fucking Mario and Luigi combination I'm thinking of.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I want to see it. I don't know what Cole looks like with the mustache. I'd like to see the whole starting rotation just wear it for a while. Maybe through April. Just wear it through April, see how it goes.
Speaking of mustaches, Joey Gallo joins the Twins, 1 year, $11 million deal. I just smell like this. I got a 40 home run season coming here. Smell that? That's 40 pops from Joey Gallo in Minnesota.
I think it's a good division for him to play in. I think there's opportunity there. I don't know. And the guy just swings and misses. It's out of control. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see a little adjustment to the swing.
I think it's a little late for that, don't you?
I mean, is it? I don't know. There's just way too many holes. And it's, I mean, guy can hit the ball really, really far, but it only needs to go 330 feet, 350 feet to go over the fence. Let's cut it down a little bit. Because, hey, there's a lot more money out there for Joey Gallo if he can just make a couple adjustments. And what is he? How old is he? He's
I'm going to say 31.
He's 29 years old.
What?
He's 29 years old. I mean,
there's time.
Let's go. I mean, of course there's time. Yeah,
I feel like Josh Hamilton didn't really break into the big leagues till he was 27.
Yeah. So
I'm not comparing Joey Gallo's struggles to.
Well, I mean, no.
I don't want that to come across insensitive here.
If you were to watch a guy like Joey Gallo play the game of baseball, and you show up on a night where he, one of his better nights, where he's good on defense. Let's say he hits a homer and a double and maybe a single. You're like, damn, this guy. And you didn't know really anything else about Joey Gallo, and somebody asked you, how much do you think this guy's making? What kind of contract do you think Joey Gallo's on? So, well, he's probably, this guy looks like a superstar player. He's probably making 20, 25 million a season, for 6-7 years. I mean, if that was, that would be my first impression. If I didn't know shit about Joey Gallo and I went to a game and, he performed like that, I'm like, okay, this is one of the best players in the game. And what's stopping him from being that guy? Why can't he make that adjustment?
My opinion is when you get to that point in the big leagues, it's got to be hard because you've had success. And so then the question is, do you go back to like the mindset you had when you had success and those swing thoughts? And then you want to change stuff to improve, but then the changes don't work the way you want them. And then you're finding yourself struggling, and then it's harder to get back to where you're at. It's such a complicated – it's very similar to me as golf because you hear about pro golfers talk about changing their swings and stuff, even though they're already like, why are you changing shit? You're top, you're top 25. Well, I need to be top 10. So I don't know if there's any element with that with Gallo where in the progression of his career, like, all right, I'm going to change a little bit because I already can knock it out. I can get on base. And to me, that's exactly what, the story with Jason Hayward was. It was like, all right, the guy was already great, but then he got the big deal and was like, I'm going to change a couple things. And it's just hard when you get wrapped and you get going because the further you get away from success that built your confidence, the harder it is to tap into that. In all respects of life, too preachy.
I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, it's easy to just change your swing and become a superstar. No, it's definitely not. But if it were me, like on the pitching side, if I was struggling heavily with consistent command, and that was the next step that I needed to take to go from a number 4 or 5 to like a top of the rotation guy, that's all I'm working on in the off season. That's it. I am trying to refine my command and find ways that are going to help me refine that command, whether it's a slight adjustment with my arm slot, with my delivery, whatever it is. Analyze my tape and consult with people that I trust as a couple sets of eyes to kind of help me see things that I might not be able to see and go from there. And I'm sure he's doing that. I know a lot of guys are doing that, but putting in that time and effort doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into the right adjustments. Because that muscle memory and like who you are as a player, once you get to a certain point, and I know Joey's still young, but it's very difficult to change. And when you're trying to make those changes at the highest level of the game, sometimes it just doesn't work out. But I think there's just too much ability and too much talent there for Joey to be a 1 year 11 type of guy.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Joey Gallo, all the big Joey Gallo fans out there. I don't know what they look like. I feel there's got to be a lot of people that sympathize with him that hate the Yankees, but I just feel for that guy. I don't know, because he's just like legendary guy from the minor leagues and the stories of him and coming up with Texas. Yeah, sure, maybe not paying out the way, but and also a trailblazer in the what do they say, the 3 outcome game. Let me round up a couple other free agent news. These are the ones. Tell me anything you want to talk about. These I'm just going to rattle these off. Syndergaard to the Dodgers, JD Martinez to the Dodgers, Adam Frazier to the Orioles. Here's one I'm interested in: Michael Lorenzen to Detroit. That's a good category. Oh, here's one: Michael Brantley, $12 million to Houston. So Syndergaard, JD Martinez, Adam Frazier, Michael Brantley, Michael Lorenzen. All these are, to me, these are great deals. You see these 1 year, $10 million, $8 million, $12 million, $8 million.
Yeah, we talked with Chris Cotillo about JD Martinez, and I think there's so much upside with JD Martinez. I love the signing. I think he's got one of the best swings in all of baseball. I know that there were some things that he was dealing with. He played 139 games last year, so it's not like he missed a ton of time. He hit 274. I guess I don't know. I'm not understanding all the concerns with JD and why he only signed a $10 million contract. But regardless of why, the Dodgers are very lucky to have him on a $10 million deal. Who wouldn't take JD for $10 million?
No. And
you kidding me?
They're going to put him in an environment where he can do amazing things, arm him with all the information a guy like that wants.
Yeah, and when I'm talking to like young hitters on our team and I want to show them like an elite swing, most of the time I'll pull up JD Martinez swing. It's just I love the guy as a hitter, and yeah, I know the Dodgers do, and they got him for a hell of a price.
Well, let's stay on the Dodgers. There's a hell of a price. They got J.P. Fireeisen for a minor leaguer after the Rays DFA'd him because he had shoulder surgery after 23 1/3 scoreless innings in 2022. And being objectively just a great power righty guy and a guy who's shown that I think he can open and close and pitch in basically any situation. And this is really where the Dodgers thrive because they can stack injury guys on top of young guys that are, maybe not ready for the rotation. They just have so much depth within that organization that it makes such an easy trade to bring in an established stud, rehab the shit out of them, which they've proven to be excellent at. And then it's a name that people who, I don't know if you're outside of, you got to be into fantasy baseball and betting it every single day to really vibe with JP Fireisen out of the Tampa Rays. But the dude's a flamethrower.
He's a beast, man. He's a beast. Yeah, that worked out for the Dodgers, and kind of just to stay on the Dodgers with Noah Syndergaard. I think, we'll see. The Dodgers are one of the very, very bright organizations, and we'll see what they can do with Syndergaard and maybe kind of get some of that velocity back that he had a couple years ago. Who knows? I mean, he had was his Tommy John in 21 or in 2020? It's 2020, right? Because he only pitched 2 innings in 2021. So, at some point in 2020 or early 21. No, it had to be in 2020. Then he had the Tommy John, and we've all seen kind of where Syndergaard was with his velocity. Not really close to the upper 90s, touching triple digits with the breaking balls, and he had really good command. In my mind with that sort of velocity, he was a command guy also, and then after surgery, he just really hasn't been the same. But the Dodgers are going to do everything they can to kind of get. To refine some of that command, maybe help him increase some of that velocity. I know Noah's a really, really hard worker. We've had conversations about training and different, and different things that we like to do as far as off-season prep. So I know he's working his balls off to get back to that point, and the Dodgers are going to be very helpful with that as well.
Yeah, it's not too long ago he was consistently like top 5 ERA, just an absolute stud in the league. I think the league is kind of adapted to when he was that stud. I feel like that's become more of a standard thing. There's just a lot more Noah Syndergaards. When he was elite, there's a lot more guys like that walking around.
When he was at the top of his game, there's not many like that. Not many quite like that.
Guys pumping
there's some,
Chad,
there's more, but sure. But I don't know if I can't agree with that. Name them.
Right now?
Yeah. That also had that command.
Okay. Well, maybe not that, but go down to like the Marlins rotation or go across to basically anybody that comes up with the Astros now. Where you're looking at these
Alcantara, yeah.
Fucking studs.
Yeah.
Syndergaard to me stood alone because he could stand on the mound and pump 100.
Well, I agree. Okay, yeah. I mean, basically the entire Marlins rotation. So I guess I'd backtrack a little bit. They've got some dudes. And what's his name? He was with. It came from the Cubs. Not Cinto. What's his name? Obviously a Latin guy, righty, hard thrower. He's on the DL or on the IL for a majority of the season. You're not helping me, Carl.
I don't even know what team is he on now.
Marlins.
Okay, and he was with the Cubs?
Was with the Cubs. He's traded. Yeah, we're really excited for him to get to the big leagues. Forget the trade. Bothering me. And then they had the Cabrera guy that throws 103.
Yeah, I mean they've got fucking everybody who comes up in the Marlins organization pumps Chad. I think it's the climate. Because they come right out of spring training, and it's the same climate. They don't have to get adjusted, though. That would suck.
Yeah, it helps when you're pitching in, 75 degrees every day.
You're sleeveless regardless, pal. I shouldn't say that. No long sleeves. No long sleeves.
God, I can't think of it. I mean, people who listen know who I'm talking about, and they're like, "You're an idiot," which I am.
Write a letter. So much news. I mean, I don't know. We could just sit here and just go through like roster. Here's a great story for you. Jerry Reinsdorf. Do you guys know as players how cheap he is? Is that a known thing? Like, oh, that guy?
When I saw your notes, dude, I didn't realize that that's the biggest free agent deal in White Sox history.
5 years, $75 million.
Shocking. Very surprising. I like the sign, though. I like Benintendi a lot. I mean, if you look at what he did with Kansas City, what did he had 320 with Kansas City, and when he got traded to New York, he missed some games. You know, it took a while to get going. I mean, he had 250, 260, but he's a 300 hitter basically every season. I like that signing a lot. So, not a bad guy to give your largest contract to. What are your thoughts on that signing?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not the sexiest name or sexiest guy from the offseason, but it's a nice move.
Well, it's just another one of these moves where the White Sox could just package a bunch of them up and just go get somebody really big. And they've always had a problem committing to really big names, and they've always tried to develop on themselves. And now they've run into this issue where they've got depth and they don't have a right fielder. And so, fine, Benintendi's a great player to me. I think he's a fine ball player. He doesn't do anything really elite to me, though, from a roster. Like, you're constructing a roster, you're going to give your biggest contract out in the history of the franchise. And you're like, well, hopefully he hits for a high average. But the league's moving away from that. And, if he does have any type of injury concerns, you're putting him in an outfield that's loaded with injury concerns. Like, he is capable of playing Gold Glove defense. The question is, he has to go out and do it. They're paying him to do it for 5 years. To me, it just seems like one of these feeble attempts relative to, what else the White Sox could have done for a number of years. But it's very, White Sox move. Now, that said, fan favorite already. Already fan favorite. People down on the south side of Chicago and Bridgeport they're printing the Benintendi shirts now. It's just such a classic name for Chicago. That's such a classic south side Chicago outfielder. So I wish him the best.
They're familiar with him.
I think he's fine.
I mean, that Chicago fan base is obviously very familiar with Benintendi from playing against him. And look, you talk about how the game's moving away from high average guys, to more slug and this and that. But if that's all your lineup consists of, you can hit a bunch of solo home runs maybe and swing and miss, through the roof. You have to have guys with a little bit higher average on base guys. And I'm not saying anything you don't know. I think the game might shift back a little bit more to that, just like it has when the infatuation with pitching up in the strike zone with the big curveball and trying to get guys to do that are sinker slider guys, almost ruining certain guys' careers because of that. That's kind of starting to come back. The emphasis on down and away and still moving the ball around, pitching the four quadrants, not just up in the zone. Pitching up in the zone or pitching down and away is a prerequisite for elevating the fastball. Because when in doubt, when you need to make a good pitch in a big situation, you're not trying to pitch just above the top of the zone. No, you're trying to execute down and away. And like we talked about before, the only thing that's recession proof as a starting pitcher is down and away. Down and away is always good.
I'm looking at Benintendi here too, though. I just want to sneak this in. We talked about swing changes earlier. He was a big swing and miss guy. He had a lot of strikeouts, triple digits, multiple years in a row. And then it does look like there's some conscious adjustment that went last year because his strikeouts got cut in half basically from what his season average was before. And that's over an entire course of the season. It's not like he had significant less plate appearances. So we'll see. I mean, that's what you want to see if you're going to get a guy in the back end, not back end, but they're signing. He's older. He's established. He's getting a 5-year deal.
Yeah,
and
not only did he cut the strikeouts down, but he maintained his average or actually increased his batting average a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like you see some adjustments there. Power plummets, but, that's a trade-off. I would say the problem, though, and this is the way that organization is, they're going to run his ass out there regardless. So it could be year 4 of the deal. They don't, unless you're hurt, that club, they're paying him, you're playing. So Benintendi, now I present that as that's a horrible situation. It's not like Steve Cohen being like, whatever, get out of here. Here's your check. But the good thing, though, is I'm saying that because if you look at the trends or whatever, the progression, you can see a guy that's trying to age into his thing where, all right, maybe he's not the same pop power guy, but if you can make those adjustments and, you can continue your career and continue to be more productive. Man, why do I think of Ben Zobrist right away? He got $15 million a year. Wouldn't that be great if Benintendi came in and had that type of impact for the White Sox? Leadership, fucking oppo, driving the ball, playing. Well, I guess he can't play a lot of positions, but would be nice.
Well, yeah, that'd be a nice comp if he could. Yeah, if he could do what Zobrist did. White Sox are in business.
So you played against Zobrist for, I would imagine, years.
Played against him, yeah. When I was in Baltimore and he was in Tampa, very difficult out. Very difficult out. Was switch hitter. Was able to go to the opposite field. Adjusted his approach mid at bat, and the guys that wouldn't make an adjustment mid at bat, like, I just couldn't wait for him to get to the plate. Okay, let's go. I know you're gonna try and do the same thing from the first pitch to the fourth, fifth pitch, and if I execute, or if I'm even close to executing, without making a mistake in the middle of the plate, you're out. When a guy like Zobrist would come to the plate, that wasn't the case. You were trying. I had to think along with him throughout the at bat and know that even if I make a pitcher's pitch, well executed, down and away, or down and in, whatever the case is, like he spoils good pitches and continues to put the pressure on you to make a mistake later in the bat, and that's where he would do his damage. So, yeah, man, really tough guy to face, and I'd like to see more of him.
Yeah, switch hitter, all of it Nazarene guys. Shout out D3 baseball players everywhere. D3 baseball players are the fucking heartbeat of the guys that are willing to go play baseball in Division III. Talk to me. I like you. I love you. If you have a good story, let me know. I want to tell it. In conjunction with Jerry Reinsdorf news, shout out to the South Side. The people that are welcoming Andrew Benintendi are the same people that started GoFundMe. Here's a great story. White Sox fans started GoFundMe to erect a Sell the Team Jerry billboard. He needed $2,100 for 2 months and the installation fee. The GoFundMe is currently at $5,300, and the leftovers of the fund will be donated. Congratulations to this guy and the charity that gets it. This is the type of warm story that should bring baseball fans together more. This is what I want to see MLB Network talking about. Fans disgruntled, raising money, charity, billboard, get the message out. Everything here clicks for me. First Amendment rights, free speech. Let's fucking go, boys.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's donate.
I'll donate a couple bucks. I mean, they're over the limit now, but at this point, it's going to charity.
But what about the Michael Brantley signing?
$12 million to Houston with a $4 million incentive bonus. 37, 38 years old. Him and Abreu. I mean, the AARP out here for MLB.
Well, I mean, he's one of the best, bat to ball guys in baseball, and he has been for a long time. I know he's beloved in Houston. He's a leader there, and they wanted to keep him. I mean, he's been. He's been in Houston now since 2019, a couple All-Star seasons. Only played in 64 games last year, but he's healthy now, and I think he deserves to stay in that uniform. All of Houston loves him. I love watching him hit, and those are the kind of guys that he's one of those guys. He's making those adjustments pitch to pitch, and a lot of the times a step ahead of the guy that's on the mound. And great signing for Houston.
So kind of weird situation with him last year. It's only played limited, 64 games you said?
Yeah.
All right, so a little Michael Brantley insight here. His hard hit rate and barrel rates last year was as high as ever. So in the far as the StatCast measuring where he's fucking hit the sweet spot. But his BABIP was as low as it's been in a long time. So they'd say when you looked at his exit velocity, you looked at his batted ball rate, you'd expect Michael Brantley to hit for more power and do more damage. But last year in limited time, it kind of worked the other way. So people would say going into this offseason, Michael Brantley had anomalous statistics. It was atypical last year. If you just looked at his numbers, you'd say this guy's trending down. If you actually looked at his batted ball numbers and you consider his injury history, you could very easily say Michael Brantley over 140 games next year should be very, very fucking good. Where you'd say comeback player, bounce back player, but the reality is Michael Brantley still last year he was squaring the ball up. I guess you could say he's hitting it at guys, or his power's down a little bit because he's injured, and so that was one of the speculation things, balls that would normally go over the fence or balls that would normally drop for doubles or get through his line drives, because he's injured, that impacts things a little bit. But even so, his barrel rate was through the roof, and his hard hit rate was as high as it's ever been. So
yeah, and he's going to be one of the guys that benefits tremendously from the shift being banned. I mean, his batting average on balls in play is going to go up, and Houston knows that. He knows that. I mean, guys are just licking their lips, ready to play this year because of that. I mean, it's, and we know that it's gonna affect lefties a lot more than it is righties. But that's that's a great thing for Houston and for Michael Brantley. I mean, he could hit 330 with the shift being banned.
Yeah. I like him a lot too. It just is like I like the idea of this like veteran presence with the Astros. I like how far they are on the spectrum of having these young guys under control. You know, the Jeremy Peñas and the Kyle Tuckers of the world. Obviously, Yordan Alvarez is on an extension, but still, like, there's the baby Astros, and then there's, like, Jose Abreu and Michael Brantley hanging out on the other side. You know, and then smack dab in the middle, Bregman and Altuve. But I do like the dichotomy and the split. You know, they get rid of Gurriel. They're like, hey, we know you're 39, but we're just going to pump in a couple other senior statesmen in here. And Brantley having a chance to at least play out a full season with the Astros, I imagine the motivation there, not being a daily contributor on a World Series team, even though he's getting the ring, he's part of the club, he's been there since 2019. I'm sure there has to be a personal competitive thing where it's like, hey, I want to go in there, play a full season, get his, you know, like, he's a man, see what he's made of, you know?
Yeah.
He still got it.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, you're right. And, you know, with Jose Abreu going there now, and he's at the point in his career, and we've talked about it in the past, and, like, he wants to win now. And it's probably a huge motivation in him wanting to sign with Houston. You're watching this team from afar doing the things they're doing, and now to have an opportunity to go join that club and be a part of, you know, a championship run. And I don't really see the Astros slowing down. And, you know, Abreu's going to put himself in a position to, you know, have a shot at a World Series this year and for the next couple years.
Who's not cheering for him either? And what a smart move from the Astros.
I love him.
If the PR department was like, hey, we got a recommendation here. Give us a guy we can really package up a marketing campaign around. I think Jose Abreu might be one of the fucking most rock solid free agents you could bring in to get the national people going. We like the Astros in the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Did you see I almost shit my pants? I'm going through the notes I prepared. I forgot to bring this up to you. Expectation Manny Machado hits free agency again next year. He might opt out.
No, I doubt it. I mean, he loves it in San Diego.
But he could get more. Dude, he could get 10 more years at $38 million.
Well, fuck. I mean, I guess it's not out of the question. Maybe he opts out and just tells me, hey, I want a little bit more money. I'll re-sign with you guys, but you got to increase. You got to increase the number.
I think AJ Preller's made that move. No, I think Preller made the move already now. I think Preller made his move on Bogarts, anticipating that. Like, bro, we're not throwing $40 million. And Padres just signed Seth Lugo, 2-year deal. So they got Hai-Sung Kim. They got Tatis coming off an extension on a $300 million something, whatever. Whenever he comes back, is he playing left field, shortstop, whatever? That's why I was so curious. Why do they keep adding? Why do they want to add a shortstop? Whoa, Bogarts might be sliding over third base.
Now I'm looking at it. He is going to opt out.
Bro, he's going to get paid so much. Shohei and Machado in another free agency period.
I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't even consider that. Yeah. He will opt out after this year. Good call, Carl.
Yankees. I want to see him go to like the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Cubs. Well, not the Dodgers, fuck the Dodgers. Bring him out east or the Central. I want to watch him all the time.
Machado to the Yankees after this year. Let's call that now. You like it?
I love it, dude. Machado and Judge in the same lineup. I might get a Machado jersey with the name on the back just to honor Yankees fans.
I'll rock a Machado jersey. I was always against wearing another grown man's name on my back, but I just might. I love Manny, so I might just do it with you.
So good for AJ Preller. This just solves all my questions of what in God's name were the Padres doing throwing all this money around. Of course, they're throwing money at Trey Turner and this and that because they're looking at the Machado contract that's coming off the books. Good for them.
Yep.
All right. Cubs,
we see Shohei. It. We see it, AJ. We know what you're doing.
What do we say? You want to round up a couple? There's I guess some speculation. Devers is a priority for the Red Sox. You could say whatever you want to me until you actually do it. It's not a priority.
Yeah, I mean you have to lock him up, don't you?
Speaking of lockup, I don't know. The teams stop. You can't go into spring training anymore and try and lock guys up. I think teams are kind of done with that.
Well, players probably don't want to do it. Just like for me personally, I don't think I would have had much of an issue with contract negotiations in spring training, especially at least before games start. I mean, you're there in the morning from 6 and you're out of there at 10:30. Yeah, I mean, you got plenty of time to sit down and try and knock some things out. I don't see it as a big issue. But once the season starts, that's a different deal. Like, not only are you're not just, trying to get ready for the season, trying to get built up or work on your swing, whatever it is. But then once a game starts, it's like, all right, these are real games. This matters. I don't want to, have any bad blood or animosity towards, the front office, trying to get a deal done. And then I'm over here trying to help the organization win ball games. And everybody's different. Some guys might not have a problem with it, but I think spring training isn't necessarily a bad time to try and get something done. Because if Devers, balls out early in the season, he's like, shit, I'm not signing now. I'm not doing it. I'm going to go to free agency.
Last thing on the list, this actually ties together here because sign it, wait, maybe hit free agency, make more money. The same question was presented to a guy who caught Aaron Judge's 60-second home run ball. He was offered $3 million. He was like, wait, I'm going to take it to auction. I'm going to take it to free agency. Only got $1.5 million. Only got $1.5 million. Too much? Not enough?
I mean, it is a baseball. I think it's he went to the game with nothing and, walks away with $1.5 million. That's half of what he was offered before. I don't know if, a lot of times there's a reserve on something like that, but I'm pretty sure that guy's happy to have $1.5 million. And who auctioned it? Who did the auction? They're probably taking their 10%. So, he's still walking away with a nice payday just for being in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm like sitting here going through my head of like $1.5 million. So if you got offered $3 million for a fucking baseball and you said no, and then you turn around and you take $1.5 million, that's tough.
Yeah, and we'll see. It's good to unload that kind of stuff because what happens if this year, next year, or sometime in the near future, somebody hits 63 or 64, and then the value of that ball drops. It's like all these fucking NFTs that people thought were gonna continue to be worth millions. I got none. No, I didn't jump into it, and not necessarily because I didn't see any value. I just didn't understand it well enough. I wasn't going to jump in and spend a ton of money on these NFTs and then lose my ass. And that's kind of what's happened to most of them. I'd say people are spending multiple millions of dollars on these Bored Apes and all this shit, and now the value's just taking a shit. So NFTs aren't for me.
Big old monkey shit. Mm-hmm. I have a couple apes original cut. I'm basically worth $50 million. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just whatever. I'm big time, man. I got into NFTs early. I did it. I have a buddy though from college who is into NFTs and crypto and all this stuff so hard that he'll look you in the eyes and he'll tell you we're living in a simulation, and he means it. He fucking means it. It's the craziest person you've ever met in your life, but you can't deny the fact that he's so utterly personally wealthy and just lives this insane brand of his own life. But part of that is that none of this is real and we're all living in a simulation. So with that, great show, dude. Even if it's not real.
It's real. It's real to us. It feels real.
That's what I said.
Feels real.
Are they fake? Are they real? If I can squeeze them, they're real.
Well, that's a good debate. It's a good topic that we could maybe readdress. Next show. But yeah, good shit. I love all the signings. And again, we didn't really mention much about Adam Frazier. Good friend of mine. He's much better than he is. He showed, the last year and a half. I look for him to have a big year with the Orioles, and I want to see the Orioles make the playoffs. I want to see that.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, for Brandon Hyde, for what these guys are doing, for the young guys, for Adam Frazier. Good for the city. Great baseball city. I'm going to say it now. Orioles are going to make the playoffs in 23.
Ooh. All right. I'll be at the game. You're waving whatever orange towel they want or black towel or
I'll go with you.
Whatever the term is. Camden Yards. Come on out. Here's some crab cakes. Is that what they say?
We'll go to G&M Crab Cakes before the game. Yeah, we'll head over there.
Sounds nice.
Love that. Good show.
This is Saturday night. Yeah, nice show. We're coming up into the holiday season. We'll be off next week, I believe. So go subscribe to the show now. Rate, review, share, pass it along. We will be back on Thursday morning, I believe, 22nd, for our last show of the year. So we'll be back. We got some good stuff planned for you guys.
Yes, sir. See you Thursday.